All right, you're asking for it, so here it is. Listen to this.
I want you fucking laughing at we partners pod, kid. You understand? We in here drinking, singing, swinging, all that shit, dog. You sweating, getting wet, all that.
An aristocrat.
Word. We ready? All right. Welcome to the 131st episode of the Drinking Partners podcast. It's the Reggie Miller podcast. He's a Hall of Famer. He went toe-to-toe with the best of them, held his own, and he's the king of his city. So, we like to, think that, we're the king of his city. So that's the Reggie Miller episode that was brought to you by Ed Bailey. I am Dave Bracey, the other guy that usually, comes in and chimes in at some point. Ed can't be here, so we have a guest host here today. Introduce yourself, Scott.
Hey, I'm Scott McTaggart from the Pitchworks podcast, and glad to be on the Reggie Miller episode. I'm wondering if we can shoot threes.
Yeah, distance, man.
I don't know. We have a few more of these. Maybe we'll go back and find out.
That's 131, and we are Drinking Partners, and if you're looking for us, you can find us on epicastnetwork.com/partnerspod. You can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Libsyn, and Google Play under Drinking Partners. You can find us on IG, Twitter, and Facebook at PartnersPod.
It's still smoother than the way I do it when I'm on my own turf. I can't get that right in one take to save my life. You're doing great.
Man, it's always a juggle, but we keep this thing going, man, and we appreciate having you in the building. If you're, I've already done it if you're looking for it. So, 131, man, 131 episodes. We've been asking you, man. We're going to continue to ask you, man. Please hop on iTunes, rate and review. That's how we know what we're doing well. That's how we let others know that we're doing well, and that's how we continue to do well. So please hop on iTunes, rate and review. And if you do, you might get one, read here on the podcast. We enjoy reading, the reviews and getting those. It's great feedback. I mean, you guys, tell us in person all the time that you love the show. Just hop on and tell others that you love the show. Yeah,
the reviews are really good. I was actually reading. I pulled one out. It says, "I adore this podcast." I mean, that there's a verb.
That's intimate.
That there's a verb right there.
Yeah.
I adore this podcast. The guys are funny, clever, and irreverent, while still being just sweet enough to be completely endearing.
Oh
man, I am not one of the two people they're talking about. They really know how to make the most of an interview, and their chemistry is perfect. I especially like to listen when I'm driving or on a flight because each podcast is so engrossing it makes the time fly by. Enjoy. That's L. Woods 2006, and I swear to you, the title of this review is my favorite podcast ever.
Wow. That is L. Wood. I don't know who you are or where you're at, but we appreciate the hell out of you.
Yeah,
man.
There's some serious superlatives getting thrown around.
Yeah,
in this room today.
Man, like, okay, well, what's good with you, L?
Ever.
That is a lot. And we're adorable. That's I don't know. If I ever run into you, L, let me know who you are in real life, and I will buy you a drink the best podcast ever. What? Who says that?
As long as we don't end up with some sort of stalker situation afterwards.
Yeah.
Because
we're on
the cusp.
Me home. Yeah, you're not invited back to my place, but we can have a beer.
It could be a drink.
Yeah, we can. we can have an adorable beer.
We can have our moment.
2006. I want to know what the 2006 is about. L, if you're listening to this, shout us out on the Twitters or the Facebooks or the Instagram, however, and let us know what that 2006 is about, man. I'm trying to figure out what happened in that year that you just wanted to cement it in your name. Like, it's definitely one of those like AOL names. You got AIM? You still got AIM? You still got the AOL account? Like, you got a Hotmail account? You sound like you got a Hotmail account. So,
You be nice. She said lovely things about you.
She did, or he. I don't know. L
it's
is
L with an E-L-L-E. So
okay, so lady. Okay, all right. Well, L, I hope that you don't have Hotmail or AOL because those things are terrible. Upgrade to Gmail if not.
That's what I'm saying.
Clearly you're upgraded enough that you can listen to a podcast on iTunes and you left a review. So
with tastes like this, I'm figuring.
Yeah. You clearly know your thing. So shout out to L. Appreciate the look, and like I said, I owe you a beer, man. Ma'am. If you're listening and you're like, man, these guys sound super smooth, like, we don't really sound that smooth. That's really all Epicast, man. They keep us sounding amazing. So if you're looking to get your podcast to sound better, maybe you want to start your own podcast, need help promoting an event, or want to advertise your product on an award-winning podcast, such as this one. We did, kind of get that chip there.
Dave, I vaguely remember this podcast winning an award.
I vaguely remember it myself. It's been so long. It's almost been a year, and just so you folks know, City Papers, they've got the best of the Bird going out. So if you have time, please hop on and vote us again best podcast. We'd love to have that back to back. I think that's we can go back to back like the Penguins, man. You know
this needs to happen.
Yeah, please hop on City Paper. I think that's coming up in August.
Wait, I'm going to go one step further. Mm-hmm. Okay, if you think that there's another one, don't cast your vote just yet. I want you to make your case for that other vote. Okay, give us the chance to earn that vote.
The other vote.
Like if you have something that you think you would vote on instead of the Drinking Partners podcast, don't do it just yet. I'm saying, let's hear the argument.
Yeah.
We got a few weeks yet.
Yeah.
Give us a chance to make the case.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we've also got 130 episodes that you maybe go. Don't go to one though. Like just maybe like stop at like 20. Maybe hop in at like 20 and then go from there. Don't go to number one unless like you're just one of those straight podcast like nerds that just want to hear everything. Because the growth is cool. I mean that's but we were trash. Oh, you talk about that synergy in the back of man. We were garbage. Like I don't even know how we lasted that long. I mean, it was you friends and family, man. I gotta shout out the friends and family who just like gave us pity listens.
It's like when you're starting out anything, it's only the people that love you.
To listen to that garbage, you had to love us. I mean, you really, and then in the smile, and then still claim that you know us in public like that. That takes a lot. So we appreciate those folks that kept us through that. But if you're listening, man, like I said, we've got a lot of episodes. Go back, listen to those folks, and if you like it, hey, man, vote for us. We'd like to get that second chip going. But in the meantime, go to epicastnetwork.com/services, fill out the form, and tell them that the Drinking Partner sent you. They'll get your podcast looking right, man. We got some events coming up. We got an event coming up. If you're listening to this, Quincy Jones will be in the city August 26th down at the Comtra Theater. He'll be headlining that. We've got a great lineup coming down there. Mark Caesar, who's headlined a show before, will be down there. Jared Berenstein will be down there. He's out of Mark is so Quincy is out of LA. Jared is out of somewhere in Cali. Mark is from out of NOLA. We got Chanel Ali coming in from New York. And there's another comedian on there. And we have Chris Allen from DC. So it's going to be a packed lineup, and you don't want to miss that. So check that out. If you're looking for tickets, it's at comtratheater.ticketleap.com, man. Come out and have some drinks. We'll have a sponsor. It's always BYOB. We always had a sponsor, so we'll have some booze, and you can bring some booze, and you can enjoy the show. So yeah, comtratheater.com, comtratheater.ticketleap.com. Word.
It's hard work bringing all this stuff together, and you're feeling it right now. Yeah. I got to wake you up a little bit.
I didn't have my energy shot.
I'm a little bit too over the top, people tell me. So hopefully I'm going to bring that to the party.
Yeah. I didn't have my energy shot. I got to go take that. But before that, we're drinking some great brews. Courtesy of a Six Pack Shop.
Oh, yeah. The Pittsburgh Bottle Shop Cafe came through for us today and actually made good recommendations. Both management and staff kind of pitched in and was like, oh, take this, take that. So I got the New School IPA from Southern Tier from Eric. That was him making that recommendation.
Yeah, no, that's a great beer. That's one of the newer ones. And it's just caught on like wildfire. I see it like everywhere now. It's delicious.
Well, there was only a couple left, so
that makes sense.
We cleaned them out.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm drinking Brooklyn, the Brooklyn East IPA. Shout out to Brooklyn. They sponsored a couple of our events, and they've been really great to us. So shout out to Brooklyn Brewing. And this East IPA is delicious. Like it's hoppy, but it's not like that hophead hoppy. You know what I mean? Like I'd say it's about a mid-range IBU. Like very drinkable. It's got to be a lower ABV. 6.9. Yeesh, they had that. So yeah, you have a couple of these and be good to go.
Yeah, that's not me. That high hop thing, that's never been. That's one of the reasons why I told you before. You know, I don't know anything about craft because every time I start experimenting, I keep running into that stuff with the high hop, and it just kind of turns me off.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many. I mean, this one it's a little hoppier. I mean, you definitely want to enjoy hops if you're going to have this or whatever. But the thing I love about some of the new IPAs coming out, like they. You know, especially like those juicy, like hazy type IPAs or whatever, like, or even like the new school that you're drinking there now, like it, you know, it has a hint of hops, but it's not like, you know, it's not going to like attack you. You know
Look,
what I mean?
if I'm sitting in Ed's chair, I think this is the bit where I'm supposed to embarrass you for saying juicy and hazy.
Pause.
Ed, that was for you.
Yeah, that was for Ed, man.
That's like the last one I'm going to be able to do, though, man. I'm out of bullets in my gun over here.
Word. So we have a very special guest today. I mean, the man, you know, he makes all of this possible, which is super dope.
And just a great dude.
Yeah, I mean, always busy. I always see him around doing something. I never really know what he's doing, but he always seems like he's happy doing it. I mean, and it's like, you know, in and out is, you know, quick conversation, and then he's doing something else with some other folks.
But it's never ripping anybody off. It's always building people up.
Yeah,
and that's what I like.
Yeah, I mean, we wouldn't be here. You know what I mean? You know, without that. So, you know, we're very excited to have him on. Josh Lucas, founder of Work Hard Pittsburgh and founder of the Academy PGH. Shout out to Kalani. She's super great gal, and she's working hard
Everywhere.
Yeah, well, thanks, guys. Thanks for such kind words, but I obviously don't know what I'm doing most times either. So
Get right out of here.
yeah. No, I mean, it's just the running around part that's indicative of sort of not knowing what's going on.
He could have taken it and ran with it,
No,
but
I
instead,
can't. It's just
like
self-deprecation.
he looks the gift horse in the mouth instead of throwing a saddle on it.
The
But
humility.
Kalani is awesome.
Oh man, she is all over the place. We got to get her on the podcast. If you listen to Kalani, we got to get you on the podcast.
Yeah, Kalani.
I mean, I got to put her on the list. But yeah, I mean, that's one thing that I found. I don't think anybody really knows what they're doing. I think we have an idea of what we want to do, and we work towards that. But I mean, we also got to be open to if that doesn't happen, then I mean, we got to be nimble and change pace. So like, yeah, I mean, not knowing what you're doing, but always doing something. I think that's a great place to be.
Well, I think you got to, you know, be data driven, right? You got to throw a bunch of stuff out there and whatever seems to have momentum and whatever seems to be kind of working for you, those are the things you should pursue. Those are the things you should put time and energy in, and the things that seem to be floundering, you've got to be able to let those go quickly.
Yeah, I think that's the death of a lot of folks is they become emotionally attached to something and they don't want to let that go. And I mean, it's hard. I mean, me being an artist, like I was like, I'm gonna be the best comedian in the country, and now I'm a podcaster. So I had to be like, oh, you know, maybe that's not gonna mean anything, you know. So tell us, what is Work Hard for the folks at home that don't know?
I think that the best way to put it for your audience is it's a place where people can come and find the things that they need to move their big ideas forward. So there's layers of complexity that I'm sure we'll dig into, but at its core, you know, it's a community of people that are driven and interested in doing important things and finding ways to cross-pollinate and support each other's energy and efforts.
Yeah, we've made so many great like friends and connections since we've been here. I mean, there's so much talent around, and everybody has that like, you know, everybody that we've worked with has that like, you know, collaborative mentality that like, you know, we can create something better, you know what I mean, like together than, you know, just working, you know, separately. And a lot of people are willing to like, you know, to help out and put in the work and create something, you know, great. And you can only have that with a space like this where, you know, you come in and, you know, sometimes Ryan's up there, you know, cutting something up, or
Ryan is always up there.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if I've ever been in this building where Ryan was not.
Clipping Eddie.
I think one time it was like 11 o'clock where we ran late and Ryan was not up there. I think that's the only time.
hard work, man. And you just come in and you have a conversation and, hey, what are you doing? And yeah, well, what are you doing? And it's like, oh, maybe we could do, you know, this together or whatever. Like, and it's weird because like a lot of places you don't, you know, it's hard to connect with people as you get, older in life or whatever. Like when you're in college, I mean, you see people all the time. You know what I mean? Like, and then if you have like a job at a place, like you're there for a reason, and like you're doing what that job is, telling you to do. Like you're there for that reason. Like, but with this, there's so many different types of folks there. I mean, it kind of like, it feels like college to me. Like I feel like I'm coming into a classroom or whatever, and I'm meeting with folks that like have different majors and have different interests in things, and we're, putting together something dope.
You know what I like about that analogy too is that so many people came from different places and different backgrounds, right? Because that's another thing that college does to you is it makes you meet people you wouldn't have met other times.
Exactly.
Well, and the recreational drug use here is pretty solid too. So.
I was gonna say, but it's the creative flow is absolutely amazing here. So how did this whole thing start?
Oh man, it's spun out of so many different failures. It's hard to track, but like the world's changing and the economy's changing, and spaces like this are going to have to be the norm if we're going to give people the opportunity to kind of do things that cost money and cost energy. So, around 2011, my partner and I, my business partner and I, not my partner, my wife's my partner, though the line's probably blurrier than she would like it.
Pause.
But my partner and I launched a web startup. And we thought we were going to do really cool, important, big things with that web startup. And as so many web startups in Pittsburgh know, it's really hard to do in Pittsburgh. And this place kind of came out of that failure and out of those changes and repositions and pivots, or however you want to phrase it.
Man, it's hard everywhere.
It is hard everywhere.
It really is. It's good though that you took that challenge and turned it into something, right? Some people just waste the energy, let it go down the drain.
Well, see, that's privilege, right? I had the financial means and supportive network that would allow me to fail over and over again and continue to do different things.
That's great self-awareness, because a lot of people don't understand, like where they're at. And I think that it's a great thing that you took that privilege and was able to extend that to other people. A lot of people don't, and a lot of people feel as if like their success is all, self-made, and it's just like, and just like Obama said, like, you didn't build that road. You know what I mean? Like it's, like even, like I said, even with the podcast or whatever, we're like, I'm like, I was very fortunate to run into like something like this. Like I didn't know this existed. You know what I mean? Like I was like, what is this place?
Well, there wasn't anything like this. I mean, we talk about this place like it's been here for 100 years, but how did we get there? How do you take this for granted? Because 10 years ago, there was no such animal.
No such animal. And I think that, we had iterations of this way back in 2006. Many people don't know this, but young Buzzy, who is the audio engineer here, was our first intern when we ran like a little guerrilla punk rock recording studio up in the Hilltop neighborhoods.
Okay, Buzzy?
Yeah, like I'm going to blow his spot all the fuck up here. And, even then we were kind of like a gear commune, right? Like we were already kind of testing these ideas of how do you have a shared space to reduce the overhead of something that in 2006 was still pretty expensive, right? Like now it's not so much, but then you still need $100K, $150K to kind of have something worthwhile.
Wow.
And now places are springing up. Right now, you're getting places where you can start a business or you can incubate a business at least. But here's the other thing, right? And this is an important part of Work Hard. From a fees and like what's the investment perspective, you can get started here for, I don't know if it's the lowest, but it is such an affordable amount. Get started. Maybe you can talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather steal your talent than your money, right? Like, so I'd rather have 100 really talented people here that are broke as shit than 3 guys that are privileged and have money to pay me for office space. I think that there's more opportunity for all of us by creating, like they said, man, like a community of weird people that do unique things, because that opportunity to talk to somebody who's in a totally different sector or vertical or just headspace really can add value to the project that you're doing. So yeah, we're super cheap, right? We're $45 a month for key access. And if you play your cards right, you would actually become a vested member in the cooperative, which is how this place is structured. And we can talk more about that if you want.
Yes.
But just generally.
That was a hard sale.
Yeah.
Dave's over here buying shares.
I was like, what? $45? I need a key.
Gonna corner the market.
So again, back to this idea of like privilege, like who owns the systems, right? And I think generally the people here are interested in cooperative ownership, and the folks that make up this community, they want a bigger piece of the pie. They want to have a stake and an investment in the entity that's operating in for their benefit or operating in their favor.
Wow.
But yeah, I can't stress enough how many of these fancy places I've been to where you don't have as many people.
They're fancy.
So you know it. You've seen it. They put more emphasis on, well, what colors are the walls, and do the floor tiles have,
Match.
like dope patterns in them or
Are
whatever.
there floor tiles?
Right. And I think what you're doing is 1 + 1 = 3. Right.
Okay.
Where you're talking about, like, if I put you two together in a room, you'll come up with something really cool. And that means more people equals even more of that value.
Right.
I love what you're working on.
No, I really appreciate it. I mean, I think that, like, generally speaking, like, you'd be hard pressed to find this model anywhere else on the planet. Some European countries have really well developed cooperative models. I mean, there are co-ops in Spain that have like a $4 billion valuation.
Good God.
And they've been around for 70 years, right? So if you think about next economy or new economy or technical economy or creative economy, the risk is so great for individuals to go out there and do their thing, right? And the chances of you being successful individually doing your thing, it's small. But if we're all in it together and we're all sharing ownership of the other larger thing that's enabling all of us to pursue these niche pursuits, then that economic benefit, when it happens, can trickle into the system and disperse wealth more evenly than how we currently structure corporations or even how we structure nonprofits, right? They're just big pyramids with some dude at the top making a lot.
Man, nonprofits are very profitable, man. I don't know how. I don't understand. I worked for nonprofits for like a decade, and I was like, the guys at the top, they weren't driving Kias.
Yeah.
I'm like, you are a very well-to-do, pious motherfucker. Like, I mean, so it's. Yeah, no, I don't know what a nonprofit is, but I do know that this seems, like I said, we benefit greatly from this, this cooperative. What the fuck is work hard? Like, there's like a work hard Indonesia or something like that. Like, I was like, I'm on Twitter and like I'm tagging because like I always tag work hard and all the shit or whatever. And then I saw like a work hard like Indonesia. I was like, what is that?
Yeah. So, I don't even know how to tell this story in a funny way.
I think you already did.
Yeah. I mean, it's first of all, it's work hard Bangladesh.
Bangladesh, yes. Yeah. All right.
So get your.
That makes a lot more sense.
Whatever country's threatened by global warming, we're only in one specifically. We had an amazing business development intern for 4 years, and he's Bangladeshi, and he still manages all of our offshore teams. So when we do web development work that is appropriate for offshoring, he runs it for us. And one day, work hard Bangladesh, and we can go anytime. And let me tell you, I will show you the best time in Bangladesh ever.
I don't know. Can you have a bad time in Bangladesh? It sounds like a fun.
Definitely have a bad time in Bangladesh.
Yeah, I think it's either going to be really good or die. Like those are I don't think there's a medium. Like I had an okay time in Bangladesh. Like I don't think anybody goes in. Yeah.
How was Bangladesh Day?
I don't think. But yeah, no, I don't think you could just have a normal, experience. It's either one of those like you're telling everybody about, or it's like we don't speak of this ever again.
So this dude is I don't know how to phrase this without offending him, but he is, his family is super affluent compared to Bangladeshi standards. They're very well-to-do Bengalis, right? And we were out there in I think 2015, and it was just an amazing experience. Like they put us up in their home, which is like the six-story kind of Gone with the Wind compound with Islamic themes because everybody's Muslim in Bangladesh, and treated us like royalty. We were out there for his wedding, and they're Muslim, but they take a lot from Indian culture. So it's like a 7-day wedding and like events every night. And just
should they get married for a week?
Oh, it's fucking beautiful too and crazy. Like you would walk into what would be the equivalent of like a hall the size of like maybe Console, right?
Yeah.
And the whole thing was decorated with live flowers, like literally like people stringing marigolds together, like hundreds of thousands of these live falls. So like here in the U.S., we'd like throw up some like plastic flowers and
like some raisins and bullshit,
some LED lights, and like have a strobe light in the back with a fogger, right? Like,
ain't it classy?
Yeah, like to the amazing degree of detail, like just using that human capacity that they have to do amazing, spectacular things.
Man,
but like the counter to that, right, is just abject poverty.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking like Allentown poverty or Bruce or Belts Hoover. Like I'm talking like real,
third world. Like in the gutter
problems.
Yeah,
like real world, like packs of dogs kind of poverty, like roaming the streets of Taka, which is the capital city. But yeah, I mean, it's an open invitation. We could go out at any time, and one of my goals for the next 5 years is to get the money together to take maybe 10 or 15 people out there, and because it's perspective changing, right? Like,
anytime you can get outside of the country, I'd encourage anybody to like travel, across the ocean. Like, I mean, you can go to Canada, Mexico, or whatever, but like go across the ocean to see how they view us and like how they view themselves and like the whole nine. Like, I mean, when that was one of the most eye-opening experiences, like going to Europe and like seeing that whole like fuck, like I felt like I got out of a bubble. I mean, just watching like their TV and the news and like speaking to the folks and just, I mean, driving on the wrong side of the street and shit. Like I actually it took me, I was there for 4 months. It took me all of 4 months to cross the street properly without like fucking dying. Like, because
that's a lot of luck.
It's the opposite. It's like over in England, it's the opposite side. And like you're so instinctively looking left and then right. Like it's just built in. So once you look left, but then there's a fucking truck coming.
You've been doing something
right
for decades, and somebody just told you that doing it that way.
You know how many people pulled me back on the curb to miss a bus coming because I was just like, oh, I looked to the left, all right, and then fucking truck to the, you know what I mean? So yeah, no, it's definitely eye opening. That whole weak marriage thing is crazy as shit. Like I'm trying to like when I get married, I'm like, yeah, I might do a cookout. Like
I can't get past the idea of remaking Gone with the Wind in a Muslim variation.
Yeah,
like there's a movie that'd be different.
Yeah,
like I haven't been able to let go of the visuals on that since you said it. I'm sitting here going, that scene would be different. Yeah, the whole movie's going to be different.
Yeah,
I want to get into the Academy because I think that is one of the like best programs that I've seen recently, like in quite a while. But so what is your like what is your back like? What did you go to school for? Like how did you where did you grow up? Like how did you? I mean, because like what was that website that you were talking about that didn't like what the fuck did that do? Like I mean, like how did that?
Dude, that's like 9 questions.
I know. I mean, I think he could multitask and piece it together.
So yeah, I mean, I grew up solidly middle class, at some points lower middle class in rural Pennsylvania. So that's sort of the first checkbox of like why I am the way I am, right? So, I mean, like for the first 17, 18 years, it was kind of like guns, trucks, and animal husbandry, which informs a lot, I think, of who I am, right?
I did not peg you as a rural dude. That's crazy. Like,
yeah. So,
and I'm not pegging many people to know what animal husbandry actually means. Because that can mean some different stuff.
Yeah.
If you ask people on the street.
Well, that definitely sounds like some deliverance type DMV, like animal husbandry.
Yeah, pre-internet. Don't Google animal husbandry.
You do not want that. Like if you go, you don't want that in your search engine.
I can promise you, there's a guy out there like right now who's making the case for animal husbandry.
Yeah.
He's like, well, if the gays can do it, then we ought to be able to marry our pigs.
Goddamn liberals.
Go on before I dig a deeper hole.
But I think that I was lucky in that, like, I grew up in by Cal U, so there was still sort of this college influence. So there was intellectual people there and people that are my high school teachers and were taught at the college, and so I oddly got this odd liberal perspective and progressive perspective on things that a lot of kids growing up in the hinterlands of Pennsylvania don't get, right?
Yeah, I mean, because I went to IUP and the folks around IUP didn't get that same. No. Yeah, again, it is IUP, so but like the folks around there didn't get that liberal perspective at all.
Yeah, and it was it was the mid '90s, and so like TV culture was changing, right? Like you were starting to see like your first gay characters on TV, right? Like you're starting to see progressivism reemerge culturally at the urban level, and that was trickling down. And as long as you had adults in your life to, I think, point that out to you, you could adjust, you could internalize it, right? Like as a dumb farm kid who only knew hunting and guns and all that stuff, like you could pull lessons from it. So I went to Pitt, right? Like I said, well, I don't want to go to some tiny college because I've lived in a tiny town, and I went to Pitt, and like many kids from urban and rural environments, I was not equipped with study skills or social skills or cultural skills, and just kind of threw myself into this big city school and tried to make sense of it, and awkwardly plotted my way into a chemistry degree.
Yeah, that is chemistry.
Yeah.
Wait. Because wow. Okay. So that's crazy because I never think about coming into college and not having those skills. Because I mean, I grew up like in Braddock with like in a city, and I didn't even think about, like, my thing was going to being a minority for the first time. That was my thing. I was like, holy fuck, like these, like, meeting white people that have never met a black person.
Yeah.
Like that was like wild as shit. And I'm like, man, this is crazy. But I still had like social skills, and I was like, able to kind of like, I couldn't even imagine like having, like to start out and then build that, did you by the end of it?
No, I mean, I was still wearing a leather trench coat probably my freshman year of college. But this is
The
before
Columbine special.
Way before Columbine. This is like late 90s.
They're sitting there. If you walked in there like that today, you'd have a guy watching you from like 30 feet behind the whole time you were on campus.
Wouldn't be on this podcast if you still rocked. I'd be like, hey, you know what? I mean, thank you for the space, but it's best if we just keep passing.
Yeah. No, I mean,
that's the guy that runs the place. Just don't make eye contact.
Yeah.
I honestly don't think I shook a lot of that off until like internships, right? Like where I was doing internships at like U.S. Steel Research and was surrounded by what today would be considered like bro culture, but like then it wasn't, right? Like it didn't register that way.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of young kind of material science engineers who were interested in taking the 21-year-old out and getting him drunk on craft beer at fucking Smokin' Joe's, because that's like the only place you could get craft beer in 19 whatever this was.
Yeah, I was like, when you said craft beer and 19, I'm like, God damn!
Yeah, no,
like
there
It really was like some guy in his garage. Yeah,
There was
there
delirium. Like it was like delirium is a lot of the Belgians, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like not Icy Light, right? Not
Yeah,
Light.
the expensive, like, because I couldn't afford it. The shit that I couldn't afford, like.
Oh, I couldn't either, for sure. Yeah. And so I was always a bit of a space cadet, always a little ADHD. Always had too many divergent interests. I took a year off. I day traded, like at the end of the tech bubble.
So chemistry?
Yeah.
And then you got from how did you get into day trading?
Oh, I wiped. I didn't get into grad school, basically. Like I had done about 3.5 years of undergraduate material science research. I was really good at that. Like I'm good at like hands-on kind of things and like being part of a team. And when people depend on me, right? Like I'm good at that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you work well under pressure. I mean,
Yeah. But I'm not
clutch.
good at like reading a book and like memorizing bullshit and then putting it back down on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
And like intuitively, I'm like good at math, but like I'm not like gonna sit there and just my brain's not wired for kind of the rigor.
Yeah. I mean that it is. I mean, like that. I was always kind of really good at that regurgitation or whatever. I mean, but like just sitting down for a long period of time and focus and doing that whole nine. Like I feel like I got some sort of adult ADHD because like my shit is all over the place. But like as I've gotten older, I've been able to kind of focus a bit more, and a lot of that focus is really just necessity. Like if I didn't find a focus, I would just be like dead in the ditch somewhere starving. You know what I mean? Like
I don't know. I think it's kind of become like one of those survival skills we're learning, because so much of your success now is based on whether or not you can do multiple things at one time. Like I think what used to be this is bad has now become
valuable,
the most desirable skill you can have.
I mean, they with ADD and like ADHD or whatever, like those kids typically are extremely intelligent. They just don't have the focus, and the fact that they are able to like have so many things going on at one time is a skill and a gift. You know what I mean? Like it's just a matter of too much. It's too much of a good thing. So it's like you got to find a balance. You know what I mean? Like,
but that's the difference between startup stuff and like corporate stuff. Is it the startup guy? He goes out and and he tries things and fails, right? And then if it really becomes successful, he's generally not there when it becomes a big dumb company, right? Somebody else refines it.
Yeah.
But you need somebody who
The idea
moves
guy.
fast. Yeah. Like he's willing to not look foolish, but like he's willing to have a failure on his permanent record and let everybody see it. And those are the people that are taking over the world. Like we're all becoming these 1099s and these small businesses, right?
Yeah.
I was just say like the best project managers are totally ADHD, right?
Yeah.
Like you got to be able to like compartmentalize that shit, and when you get bored and it's already settled, you move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
You know, and one of the running themes on the podcast, and like everybody that we've had on the podcast is in a sense a small business, whether they're an artist, entrepreneur, or whatever. But you know, you're seeing, you know, and Ed talks about it all the time. Like, you know, we're in this space where like, you know, that whole, you know, going and working for somebody else thing isn't the end all be all. Like that's what we were taught. It was crazy. I was taught like my whole life, like this is the path. You go to college, you get a job, you work until, you know what I mean? And then somewhere between then and now, all that shit changed. Totally. You know what I mean? And like, and it's like, fuck, you know, and like the kids now, like they have an advantage because the younger millennials or whatever, like, you know, they're coming into a world where that is the thing. Like they're like, you know, that they're encouraged to find, you know, their voice and to make their own, you know, business and do that. And spaces like these, like this exist for them. You know what I mean? Like, whereas again, like you said, 10 years ago, there wasn't anything like this.
But the thing is, it's because so many people took a beating, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, I mean, I want to get back to Academy because Academy helps a lot of the people that got caught flat-footed kind of get back on track with something because maybe somebody didn't teach them resilience, right?
I mean, just culture and economy is changing faster than ever. Right. And that's the reality for millennials and whatever Generation Z or whatever the fuck we call them, right? Like,
yeah, whatever dismissive label we slap on them today.
Fuck those young kids and
yeah,
their
you
testosterone.
kids suck at this.
Goddamn testosterone fucking dudes.
Why didn't you get born knowing the rules already?
Yeah, I mean, this could be a weird 30 years, right? Like the next 30. And like, no, if anybody who says they know what's going to happen is completely full of shit. So all we can do as a bunch of humans is build capacity and build systems that provide safety nets, assuming your government doesn't do that. And current government's certainly not going to do that, right? And try to figure out ways to move more people towards the thing that they're good at. And this is what's frustrated me as a young 20-year-old, right? Like I knew what I was good at. Like I knew what I could do.
Yeah.
But there's no way to make fucking money at that.
Yeah. My thing was talking shit and drinking. And I mean, honestly, like people were like, "Yo, you like I've had over 100 jobs in my life. Like I've been over 100 payrolls. I'm an excellent interview. Like interviews, I aced them shits. Like, you know what I mean, like there was a point where like, you know, I'd worked 3 jobs and, you know, with an average of maybe 3 months. I mean, I've had jobs for like a day, I've had jobs for a week or whatever, but I was always able to get, you know, another job. People go, that's like, you know, you're a smart guy. Like you got to settle, you got to do something. Like, what do you like to do? And I'm like, I like to drink and talk shit. And they're like, I mean, that's not really.
And Elwoods is so glad that you finally found it.
And like now, like I'm here, like I'm like, you know what, like, yes, but I mean, but that's a thing that like podcasts and like, or even just like artistic, like that's the thing that didn't exist. It wasn't even a thought that like crossed. So I was like, I always felt like I was just going to be fucked. I was always going to be at a job that was paying me less than I was worth, and I was just going to get through it and then have as much fun as I possibly can on the weekends. I mean, I just thought that was what it was. And like you said, I mean, people took a beating and like, you know, just me personally, I've like when you're at the bottom, the ebb and flows of the economy really don't matter to you because you're still at the bottom. You know what I mean? Like I was eating ramen. That was it. It didn't matter if like the stocks were up or down. I was still eating ramen. You know what I mean? Like, but you know, that being at the bottom allowed me to be like, you know what, fuck it. Like just, I'm able to kind of just like,
What am I going to lose?
Yeah, what am I going to lose? Yeah, I mean, fuck it. Like just go all in type thing. I mean,
I'm going to get less ramen, right?
Exactly. So like, you know, I think like you said though, but like with culture as a whole, like especially America or whatever, like with those hits, I think more people in general have that mentality. You know what I mean? And like I said, it's folks like you that are like taking advantage and building spaces for people like that to, you know, create and find out what they love to do. I mean, if you're listening right now, like, and you like to drink and talk shit, I'm telling you, man, you could probably do it for a living.
Yeah, right. Especially if you're real good at it, right?
Yeah.
Well, how about this? There's stuff that you wanted to do where you were ahead of the market. You were ahead of what was going to happen, right?
For sure.
Like how many of these kids, I got a nephew who likes to watch other people play video games on YouTube. Now, the three of us are all probably sitting here going like, that's just, that doesn't make any sense to me. But there's somebody making $1 million.
Many.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just watching other people play video games. That was not a thing.
Definitely not.
And I mean, you ask a bunch of old bastards like us and we'll be like, it should not be a thing. Right? But you find this thing that you love and then you find a way to actually like include more people in it so that you can monetize it. I think is kind of that's the change we're watching.
Well, if you can't attract people to whatever it is that you're jamming on, right? Like it's probably not a thing, right? Like that's the first test of the market before people like pay your ass to do shit, right? Like if you can't just with the idea be like, hey, you guys want to chill and do this thing, then you're probably on the wrong page.
Well, but the other side is, right, like it's always been the dirty end of the pool that paid the bills, right? It's like, well, you know, if you didn't feel like you had any skills, you knew you could get a job doing manual labor, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, well, they just tell me to move boxes and I move boxes and that sort of a thing. So that's always kind of been out there. And then they tell these kids, you know, like, oh, well, you can't make a living watching or making video games, right? You know, like you can't make a living doing art. You can't make, there's been so many different ways they've been told they can't do stuff. And I do think Academy's teaching basic web dev stuff, right?
Right.
Okay. So those are flexible skills they can take to a lot of different places.
Yeah. Yeah. So Academy Pittsburgh, right? And we're jumping way ahead in the story, but it's essentially condensed 12-week technical education. It's essentially the apprenticeship making program that existed in the 1950s and 60s for machinists or, I don't know, coal miners, right? Like you could join a union, you could get hands-on training in a skill, and then you could go make a middle-class living with those skills.
And that is such a like lost, you know, like I guess I don't know, opportunity or whatever. Like that whole internship or that like, you know, that apprenticeship. You know what I mean? Like where because you know, now you got to go to school. You got to pay a school of some sort. Like, I mean, and go and
learn 80% of the job.
Yeah, I mean, like, and then you know you go out. Hopefully, you get a gig or whatever, and it's crazy because a lot of people they want experience, like you know, off the bat or whatever. I mean, like,
well, and a lot of the degrees are just complete bullshit, right? Like, I mean, seriously,
No.
like, oh, I swear to you, Scott. That some of the things that universities and schools do are just kind of unethical. I mean, I don't want to like put that out there in a public forum, though this will get published,
Right.
But I mean, just generally speaking, like if you're getting a degree in fucking psychology or art history or whatever other nonsense you're getting a degree in, like you're not going to get a job in that.
no, I mean, yeah, dude, you're not. Most people that I know aren't doing shit that they graduated with. You know what I mean? Like most of them became like teachers somehow. I don't know how the fuck. Like, yeah,
Well, but
like,
I know
I don't
people
either.
who work in psychology and in art history, and you could have picked way worse examples of those, the weird degrees that people were like, what are you going to do with this?
Dance therapy.
I remember
Dancers, I love
there's
it.
like 5 people
therapy.
in your whole state that are going to do dance therapy, and you are not one of them, right? Unless you're willing to go way low on what you're going to get paid.
Yeah, or well, never mind.
Go on.
No, it's gonna be weird.
So
It already is.
So I definitely want to come back to our academy, but we were at you're 20 and you were good at something. So what were you good at? Because you came out with chemistry degree.
I was good at playing guitar. I was good at like people skills, right? Like I've always had like really good at naturally reading the room and you know, probably a sales guy, probably like I'm good at those kind of skills, which is why I run this place because I'm able to sell the story and the narrative of this place, I think, around town successfully. And that leads to funding and that leads to participation and that leads to membership. But, you know, I had that chemistry degree, spent a year day trading, and then, you know, now I'm like 24, 25. It's like, well, I need to get a real job. So it then became, how can I get a job quickly? And what's the quickest thing I can do to have security? And that was teaching. So that's how I started. As you mentioned,
again,
everybody becomes a teacher in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, everybody's like I actually went to like I started out my degree as a secondary math education major because I heard that you know IUP was like a really great school for teaching, and Pennsylvania was a great state for teachers. So you know,
It's true.
I started out with that. I ended up like going down. I babysat my cousins for a summer down in North Carolina, and I came back up, and I was like, I don't ever want to work with kids ever again in my life. Like, and I changed my major to journalism.
There you go.
But yeah, it started out with education. So then you got into teaching.
Yeah, so I went to grad school real quick for like a year. Pitt had a condensed 1-year master's program. Did probably 10 or 15 interviews, and then I got a job at Stowe Rocks and McKees Rocks, and that is probably ethically the most important thing that happened to me in my 20s, right? Like, because it threw me into a cultural environment where there was a lot of poverty and economic distress and African American people.
Yeah. Stowe Rocks is very like I worked in social services for a decade, and I had clients in Stowe Rocks and children. You know what I mean? Like I had a lot of kids in Stowe Rocks and whatnot. And you definitely don't like that's like night and day from rural,
right,
to Stowe Rocks. Like that's
and I mean I think that informs a lot of my today, present day sort of thinking about equity or about like advantage and about privilege and about what we need to do as a city to get better at getting people opportunity. And Academy Pittsburgh, right? So, I taught there for 13 years and saw kids overcome amazing sort of obstacles to become wildly successful, and saw kids that were really super smart and capable, more capable than anybody in this room, just fuck it up, just wipe, right? Just completely like do the wrong thing at the wrong time. And that was it. One big mistake and you're tanked, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's what I think, people, I don't know. I wish, everybody could spend, say, a year.
For sure.
Yeah, doing some sort of social work or like, working at school or, in an environment where like, because until you're in it, like you don't get like that understanding of how easy it is to go from, like cool to, just making it day to day to like complete, like
tragedy.
Failure and tragedy. Yeah. I mean, like even now, like I've built, with the family or whatever, we have some safety nets. You know what I mean? Like, and we're by no means rich. You know what I mean? Like, but these like, it's something as simple as like, I'm a kid and I stole some, you know what I mean? Like what I got dealt with kids. I'm like, there were some kids that were very like, just like, you know what, this is going to be difficult, especially once you get in high school. Like this is going to be very difficult. You may not be like able to overcome your adversities. And you had kids that were, just like, in there for some dumb shit, like they stole a pack of gum, they got caught, and like whatever, like that was stupid. Learn your mistake. Here's a paddle, and you're gonna be. Then you have those kids in the middle that could go either way. You know what I mean? Like they're they have the skills. They've come up in a bad environment, and they're at a point where like they can either go one way with a great life, or they can fall into the bullshit, and it's razor thin.
And the go right is harder.
Oh, it's way harder.
It's harder because you don't have anybody in your family to pattern after.
Yeah, I was the first. I went to college. Nobody in my family knew anything about college at all. Like all of the financial aid. Like what the fuck is financial aid? Like fast for form. Right. You know what I mean? Like all that shit was new to me. Like it was only because I had like a mentor like from school, from like my high school, that kind of like would walk me through. I would call him up and be like, hey, what the fuck is this fast for form? Why don't I have money? Like why are they kicking me out of my class? Like they're telling me I'm not on the roster.
Sure.
Like, yeah, like. That was only, and I'm so lucky and grateful for that. Not everybody has a mentor like that. Not everybody, So like, if I didn't have that, I wouldn't have lasted a year in college.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, there's kids in our neighborhoods that have never left that neighborhood, right? Like, I taught kids that had never seen downtown Pittsburgh, literally 4.5 miles from downtown Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I got friends that won't like. We live in a city. We talk about it all the time. Like, they don't cross bridges. We live in a city where people don't cross bridges. And I got friends and family that like they're there. They're in Duquesne, they're in Braddock, or wherever they're at, and they're there. And I'm like, well, I'm over in like Highland Park. Come hang out. And they're like, man, you're all the way out. And Highland, I'm like,
there's a bus. There's literally a bus that'll take you.
Like,
so many people make that trip.
Nigga, I've been across the ocean. Like, you know how big this fucking planet is, and you talk about all the way over, like, But that's the mentality, and like, and it's not just like poor black people. It's poor people in general. There's a lot of people that like poverty. when you grow up in an environment of poverty, like you learn from a young age that you're unable to do some things. You know what I mean? Like,
the rural culture is the same way, right? Like I didn't travel. I didn't see, I went to Florida when I was like 5 and that was it. Like that was the extent of my worldliness coming into Pitt and into Pittsburgh.
Yeah. I think it's a certain type of mind that like is adventurous that, you know what I mean, kind of pushes that or whatever. But a lot of people are just, kind of cool day to day, you know what I mean? And they don't think out, and that's what we were talking about earlier about like getting outside of the country or whatever and like exposing that bubble, because it's not until you get out the bubble that you realize that you're in a bubble.
Yeah. Belonging is a super powerful force, man. Belonging can make you work against your interest. Right?
For sure.
If
groupthink.
Yeah. If you're sitting there and you don't think that you can be the person who starts a business, you won't.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, the group that I belong to is proud because they always put their brave face on, right?
Yeah,
and they all goes like, well, yeah, we're proud of the fact that we would never go out there and fail in front of other people or whatever. And that's where I start to really, like, my heart breaks for the people who don't have hope.
It's risk aversion, right? It's like culturally ingrained risk aversion that it hits urban kids, it hits rural kids, it hits the freaking rich suburban kids, right? Like they would all do well to go someplace that's really scary, right? Like they would all do well to get on a fucking plane and go somewhere where they might get locked into jail for the next 5 years and get the shit beat out of them. Right?
If only just because somebody made $5 by doing it, right?
Right. Where bribery and just like general corruption is the norm. Like that would inform a lot about their values.
I'll bet that white guy over there has got some money in his pocket. Snatch him up, take his cash, leave him in jail, and I'll split the proceeds with you. Yeah,
So now you're a teacher.
I'm a teacher.
And then what happened after that?
So, I spent a good 10 years teaching.
10 years?
Well, I was 13 total, but around year 10.
Man, how old are you? Like, I didn't think you like, God damn. Like, I know you bald. It was nice to have a fellow bald person in the room.
My brother.
Because rest in peace, my hairline. Fuck you, Scott, and your hairline.
Look how forward
with that
it
whole,
goes.
But God, like you got some sort of secret there because 13 years, like what the fuck?
Yeah, man, I'll be 41 this year, so
really?
I'm up there.
Ah, man, whatever you're drinking and eating and your regimen, just keep that shit the fuck up.
Roll of the dice, man. Good genes.
Yeah.
Lucky,
it's the exercise or running around in circles up there.
More fucking privilege.
Yeah,
lucky genes.
You know what? I was just at a cookout last night and at least 5 different people like commented like, you fucking skinny motherfucker. Like, yeah, he's gonna eat all this shit and it's not even like, and I'm like, yeah, but my heart still is that. I've got a heart of a 300-pound man. Let's be. I'm not fooling. I'm gonna die. Young, skinny, and pretty. Like
he doesn't mean that in like a Grinch sort of a way.
Yeah,
like his heart grew 3 sizes too big.
And
then he keeled over dead.
Motherfuckers
with
checking out at 60.
bacon grease and like just butter in there.
Yeah, like I don't do much healthy thing. Like I don't like the thought to put something healthy into my. Like I don't put things in my body because I think it's healthy. I put things in my body because I like them. Like beer and weed and food and bacon. Like these are things that like broccoli. I'm like, man, unless you throw some cheese on that bitch, what are we doing? Yeah, what is this? What is it for? And I thank genetics. Like I get to get by or whatever, but I'm not fooling anybody.
Nah,
man.
you're gonna check out 65, 66.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not gonna.
It'll be like the 40th anniversary of drinking partners. Well, probably like the 20th though. Yeah, Ed will be on stage. And like Day will just like.
Yeah, me going out doing what I love, man, drinking and talking shit. So, man, 10 years. Wait, 10, 13 years?
13 years. 10 years I started getting frustrated, right? Like, I taught in a poor school district. We'd get a Democratic governor in the state house, and he would dump tons of cash on these poor suburban, urban school districts. And then we get a Republican governor in control of state money, and he would take it all back away. And so you take 3 steps forward, and then you take 4 steps back.
Yeah.
And so about the middle of my career, like I really felt like we were changing that place. Like it felt like everybody was hitting their stride. The staff was young. There was a lot of money around. They were hiring. They were putting people into positions to change and affect the quality of the people's lives in the community that we're supposed to be serving. And then fucking Corbett comes along fucking guts the budget, take all the money away. Next thing you know, we're fucking cutting math teachers while Mount Lebanon, Upper St. Clair fields a girls fucking lacrosse team or fucking water polo or whatever the fuck they do in the rich affluent suburbs.
Yeah.
Sorry, Scott.
I don't even know how I earned that one.
You just look like you live in the suburbs.
Apparently-
Yeah, you got the hairline. You got a suburban hairline.
I got the rich guy hairline. That's the only thing I can figure.
Yeah,
You got,
that's all
you got a rich quaff going on over there.
Like I'm out there plucking kids off the bus stop, like harvesting their follicles. It's like some kid be like, "No, sir, let me keep my hair." Like, no, you don't understand. I've got to appear on Drinking Partners.
So, I mean, that became very, very frustrating because when you take away resources from a culture of resource scarcity, like that turns everybody into exactly what you would imagine.
Exactly. Yeah. They start to eat each other alive.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I went through the same thing with social services. I mean, there were years where, like, you know, we lived and died by funding. You know what I mean? And then when they get into those fucking, those like stalemates or whatever, where like the budget freezes and like and nothing passes. Yeah. Like there was a point where we didn't have staples. Like I'm out here trying to save kids, and like I don't have staples. Like the printer didn't work. Like, so we can't print things out anymore.
I mean, before we get too carried away, though, I mean, you got teachers buying supplies for the classroom today.
A lot of most teachers buy a lot of their supplies themselves. I don't think a lot of people understand that.
I don't want to underestimate the size of this problem, because even now, with things supposedly moving kind of well, they're still getting screwed.
And in a place like McKees Rocks or Clarendon or, you know, any of the districts that are even the poor rural districts, you have teachers buying kids motherfucking lunch.
Yeah.
It's not even like buying school supplies. It's like taking the kid out and buying him fucking deodorant. Like it's really a testament to our failure as a civilization.
Yeah. No, and it is crazy because like those lines are weird. Like, you know, I'm in a situation where like, you know, because technically you're not supposed to do things like that. I mean, like there's usually some sort of something in the books because you don't want to build a personal relationship outside of, so somebody can you know, this whole like, you know, like some lawsuit or some weird, you know, gets to the news or whatever. So you're not allowed to do that. But at the same time, it's like this motherfucking kid needs to eat. You know what I mean? And like, it's such a tough place to be where like the law or the governance of this, you know, school or, you know, entity that I work for says this, but like humanity, like my humanity says, look, man, I'm fucked it. I'm gonna buy this kid, you know what I mean? Like, you know, whatever, like take this home. I mean, it's a testament of our you know, the failure that we have, and, you know, the lack of empathy that so many people have, or even sympathy. I mean, however, you know what I mean, like that so many people have for, you know, poor people. And
got money for airplanes and bombers. Don't got money to help poor black kids or poor white kids.
Yeah, I mean, and like just like you were saying, like, you know, you have like in Bangladesh or whatever, you have like, you know, this huge affluence right next to, you know, abject, you know, poverty or whatever. You see a lot of that like in America. You know what I mean? Like you see, you know, I lived in Highland Park, and Highland Park is a super weird neighborhood because like literally every other street is like different. Like I lived on a street, it was a cool, you know what I mean? Like there's $500,000 homes a block away from $10,000 homes. You know what I mean? Like, and it's, you know, one street is cool. My roommate at the time, he would park on Negley, main drag or whatever, like cool. You know what I mean? Like had a motorcycle, whatever, drop it off, let it sit out there, you know, all the time. Nothing ever happened. He put that shit in the back. In the alley, that shit was gone within 3 hours. Like, yeah, I mean, that's how close it was. Like, I walk out the front door, I'm cool. I walk out the back, I gotta watch my neck. You know what I mean? Like, and it's, you know, it's crazy like that we live in a society like that.
It's out of balance, and that's why, you know, by year 13 I had left, right, because I was burning out, and I said even when I first went in that I was going to be one of those old fucked up teachers that had spent 30 years and just hated fucking everybody, right?
Yeah. There's a lot of there's a lot of people that like I think that that's about a like, because I did 10 years and then I was like I can't.
Dude, we bummed ourselves out. sitting here, right? Like, it took me 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, it took me 10 minutes to turn into the guy you didn't want to be.
And that's tough, right? Because, like, you know, you're giving up healthcare, you're giving up this fucking pension that's one of the best in the country, and you're looking at these kids and you're starting to resent them, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're starting to resent the frustration that is really adult-driven frustration. It's really about ineffectual leadership. It's really about, at the state level, funding. It's about a culture of scarcity. But in the moment, you're just like, man, I motherfucking hate this job.
I mean, that's the thing is that, like, with all of those, you know, it's not their fault, but at the same time, they're exhibiting that behavior, and it's causing you to be like, motherfucker, like, you know, and, you know, there's some people that are just numb. Like from the beginning, you know what I mean, like they're completely detached. They typically don't like. I mean, they might last long, but they're not typically good. You know what I mean? Then you get people that are over invested, and they might stay long or whatever, but like their home life is a wreck. You know what I mean? Like once you get off the job, you don't have any more energy to give to anybody else. You've given it all, you know, on the job. You know what I mean? Like
85 kids. Right?
Yeah, I mean, and those people, like, they make the best workers, but like. Man, like
that's emotional work.
But yeah, but like they make the best workers, but people outside of the job, like they're not the type of people outside, because you know the marriages, you know, end, and like, you know, they become a wreck, like, you know. And then like for me, I was the type that like I cared, but I was able to detach enough. But even with that, after about 10 years, it's just like it's draining. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that most people should I think that is a thing that people should do. Like they should only be in that situation for about, you know, that 5, maybe 10 years or whatever your limit is, and then get the hell out. Anybody, the lifers, the 20 years, the 30 years or whatever, like.
But we all knew that teacher that didn't have kids of their own, right?
Yeah.
Because the kids in the classroom were their kids, right?
Yeah.
And I've seen those make it, right?
Yeah.
Like I've seen a lot of those.
But I'd say that's 1 in 10, right? Like, like 9 out of 10, like they said, they got to go, and they can't go because the fucking incentive package is too good to stay.
Yeah.
And so they get mired down in sort of the culture of woe, right? And you become ineffectual once you become part of that culture of woe, because you're just adding more negative fucking energy and more baggage on top of these kids that got more than their fair share of negative energy and baggage in their life.
If you're not bailing water out of the boat, you're helping it sink.
Yep, totally.
Yeah. And because we all get into it bright-eyed, and like, we're going to change the world, and then you realize, like, I mean, success is such a weird, like, there is no like bar. Like when I was in the corporate side of things or whatever, like we had a bottom line, we had like, you know, we had things that we needed to reach or whatever. Like when you talk about dealing, like when you talk about like healing people, like there's no, like, what is success? Like if I can get a crackhead to smoke one rock as opposed to 30 rocks, that's fucking success.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, and it's weird to, like, you know, develop what that is, and it's so weird, like, going through that and then looking at like and talking to other people, because the people that have never experienced that, like, if I say that to other people, like, they're like, no, that's what the fuck. Like, it's such a weird skew that you develop in that. Like for me, I'm always like, you know, I'm always kind of like, I don't condone behavior. I don't, you know, like, say a pedophile. I'm like, you know what? He should be locked away. You know what I mean? But I want to understand. You know what I mean? I understand he wasn't born a monster. I want to understand how he became, you know, broken. What it was, broken. Yeah. And so, because if I understand that, then I can, you know, maybe fix, you know, somebody, you know what I mean, else, you know, before they get to, you know,
a bare minimum, figure out what the warning signs are to keep other people safe.
Exactly. I mean, like, but a lot of people take understanding as, you know, condoning it. So they just want to, like, you know, demonize things and just, you know, you throw it out, and it's like, yeah, this is wrong, this is bad, we want to, like, you know, but we also want to understand, and a lot of things that you see in life, it's like, well, and people are like, oh, I can't say this guy did this, and it's like, well, I mean,
but that's that downside of that whole, like, you know, we were talking about how like ADHD is like a superpower, right? Well, the downside of it is that it's like some of these things take years, if not decades, of investment, right? And it's like, it's really hard to commit to, you know, getting to the final answer on some of this stuff in one case. Well,
and people with privilege don't think it could be them, right? Like, and that fucking frustrates the fuck out of me, is because, like, if you grew up privileged in an affluent household with supportive parents and disposable income, like, oh, how could that kid be that way? It could be you, motherfucker. Yeah. Like, if you grew up that way, you might be a bigger fucking monster than that kid is, right? The
fact that this kid is even, like, hasn't murdered every fucking body in this town is absolutely, given what what they go through on a regular basis is amazing. And like it's crazy. It's even crazier when poor people don't even like. I mean, poor middle class folks. Like I love to study. It's like 70% of people like in America don't have like more than $1,000 in savings or whatever. You're literally a car crash away from complete ruin.
You're not even a car crash.
Yeah.
You're just one regular disease away.
Yeah,
Just like not even something life ending.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like and everybody's so close, but they walk around with this air of like couldn't be me, and I'm like, Mom,
You remember that commercial where the guy goes, "I'm undead up to my eyeballs"? That was the truest thing ever on television. The guy's pushing the mower through the perfectly manicured, front 40.
Yeah.
And the kids are super happy in the background, and it's like this mansion in the back, and he's like, "How do I do it all? I'm in dead up to my eyes."
Yeah,
Right?
like.
And I read that thing you were talking about the $1,000 is like less than 1,000
Yeah.
is what people have on hand. And it's like, do you really want to roll those dice like that and be a dick about it?
Yeah, like I mean, with the upper class, I kind of, but you middle, you talking like, it couldn't be me, man. You like so many clients that I've had, so many that I dealt with that they're like, I don't, and then sometimes it's gradual. They're like, I don't even know how I got here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it was just this after this, and all we are people making the best decisions that we possibly can, giving the information that we have. And, if you get hit with a bunch of tragedies, in a row, you're just making the best. And then you find out like, wait, what the fuck?
Remember, we said before, you're not even necessarily making decisions. You're just doing the thing that the people before you did.
Yeah, choice is a weird thing. Like when people say like, oh, well, you chose it. It's like, did I have a choice?
Or did I just do the thing that felt like the only choice?
Yeah, like I'm eating ramen every day. Am I choosing to have high cholesterol? Or am I just eating?
It's Oriental flavor.
That was racist, Scott.
You got to go tell Top Ramen because that's what it says when you're walking down the aisle.
I've never even thought about that until just now. There definitely is an Oriental flavor.
There is an Oriental flavor.
What the fuck is the flavor?
2017.
What the fuck does an Oriental taste like?
The other one that I like, completely off topic.
Salty.
You walk down the aisle. The other one is there's a spaghetti sauce. It says flavored with meat. You're like, that did not describe half of what I wanted to know.
I still want to know who was like this. That's an Oriental right there. Like, and then they just printed it on package, and they're still printing it on packages. Like, it's a terrible flavor, though.
Dave, we need you to do research. We need you to go taste an Oriental.
I'm gonna go lick an.
I'm married, and I didn't want to say it to our esteemed guest over here.
Oh man, who's the Top Ramen, man? Change your ways, man. Like, come up. It's 2017. Top Ramen, the Indians, the Redskins, all y'all motherfuckers, man. Like, grow up. Like, Oriental. What the fuck?
It's Oriental flavor, man. Obviously.
I never thought about that, man. That's crazy as fuck.
Think about it every time I go by there. It's like, you just can't say that. And this is how you know that I obsess about stuff.
You locked in.
Oh, yeah. I locked in like 15 years ago. It hasn't changed since.
Oh, so you got out of teaching.
Yeah. So
Nice segue.
segue. Well, I mean, so before I get into like how I got out of teaching, like the greatest trick, right, of the super rich is to make the poor and the middle class fight each other.
Exactly.
Right?
Oh, yeah. That's it. I mean, it's divide and conquer. I think socioeconomics really is the key, the biggest issue that I see in America. But I also I preach a lot of, black issues. And what I tell folks is that, we are in the same boat. I have more in common with a poor white man than I do with a rich black man. I mean, I genuinely believe that. But at the same time, we at the bottom are still not even like me as a poor black man and a poor white man still has privileges that I don't. And when you tell a poor white man that he has privileges, the fuck? He's looking
easy
around
way to
like,
piss him off.
this is privilege? Yeah, I mean, this is fucking privilege. Yeah, you know, and it's so hard to overcome that because again, it was hard for me to overcome that. Like for somebody to be like, for a woman to tell me, oh, well, you're privileged. Like the fuck you talking about? Like I'm eating fucking Oriental ramen out this bitch on a daily basis. Like, you know, like I mean, like this doesn't
racist motherfucking ramen.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm eating racist.
You
ramen.
made me racist.
I'm eating racist ramen. And you're telling me I'm privileged, you know, and that's the argument that I get so much, you know, so many times from white folks. It's like this doesn't feel like privilege.
But that's the conspiracy, right?
Exactly. That's what they're taught, and I think the way to get out of it is to understand, like to let. I guess education really is it. Yeah,
well,
I mean,
so I'll say something controversial. We're in a class war. We're not in a race war.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah,
and we're all tricked into thinking it's a race war.
Well, yeah, race war, a gender war. I mean, a fucking sexuality war.
Can we please scale this down? Just
no, you're in it now, buddy.
I didn't know Josh was like a fellow. Like he was in the muck. Like I don't meet too many people that have been in the muck, and when we get together, it turns into this whole like. Yeah. Like,
all right, but before the whole place burns down, let me just toss one idea at you, right? So, whenever you make a mistake, and you don't want somebody else to make that mistake, right? You get really worked up about it, right? So imagine you're in a family where they used to be super poor, right? Mm-hmm. And then they made their way up, right? Mm-hmm. And I've seen this. I've seen where like something weird sets granddad off, where if you do this behavior, he's just going to have your face. He's just going to tear it off, right? Yeah. And I don't know that it's so much. It's set up that like I hate them or they're less than me or whatever. But I think it's a fear that gets used as training, right? It's like, don't hang out with those kids because, and we talked about this when we were on a show together, a couple months ago, Day, where it's like, you are the people you hang out with, right? It's like the five people.
Yeah. I think there is there is that, like, there definitely is a very concerted effort to, make people feel like, one, to drive materialism. And to feel like, the more you have, the better or whatever. And to, like what anybody lower than you deserves it. And that's the thing, the mentality that if you're poor, if you're struggling, you did something to deserve that, as opposed to you're just a victim of your circumstances. And there's, people do make bad decisions. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not saying like, it is that struggle between like free will and
determinism.
Yeah. Determinism. Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Like, and I still wrestle with it. I mean, in philosophy, like, is everything you know what I mean? Like if everything has if every atom it works in a certain way and you build it up on a system, is it all predetermined? Do I have choice? What is choice? That's a whole nother thing, but like, again, outside of
That's
the
some
wild,
good beer, man.
Yeah, outside of the wild philosophical, deep shit or whatever, some people do deserve their shit. Some people fuck people over, and being in this, like, I've always, when I got into comedy or whatever, like, just in life, people looked out for me, and I tried to look back out for them. And we call karma. Karma is nothing other than it's just. After a while, it catches up to you. There's no mystical being, in my opinion, that's out there like making it like, oh, well, you did wrong, I'm gonna get you back later. It's just after a while, people catch on, and that, you know what I mean, like people start fucking with you, and then you run out of like favors, you run out of like mulligans, and now you're in the shit.
And you're just the guy that does that.
Yeah, you're just in the shit. You know what I mean, like, so there are people like that.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Let me clarify. I don't mean like the guys in Cranberry. I don't mean the upper middle class is the class war. I mean that. The upper 1%.
No, exactly. The upper middle class, and that's what's crazy. The upper middle class
is tricked.
They're tricked because they think that like they're with the 1%. And I'm like, bro, have you seen? I was out in Miami, and I'm like, have you I thought, because I used to think, I'm from Braddock, so I'm from like straight, like right next to I go to Cranberry, I'm like, oh, these motherfuckers are living nice. And then I get down to fucking Miami, and every other car is a Bentley truck, and I'm like, what? Oh no, whoa, that's
motherfucker at Cranberry got a 20-foot boat in the mod.
Yeah, like I was sitting at a bar, and a yacht pulled up, and then another boat pulled into the yacht, and I was like, you got a boat for your boat, like that's that, right. Like that. Now that's the 1%. Yeah, I mean, like, so, but the folks that get that, they think like, all right, what I've made it. Yeah, I mean, like, I've deserved this, I earned this, right. And the other people, whatever, like, and I'm looking at them, I'm My issue with them is the fact that they vote the way that they do, and that you know
But they're tricked.
Exactly.
They're tricked into thinking that the people below them are coming for their stuff.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's not true, because the people below them have absolutely no power.
Nah.
Do you know how hard it is to get anybody to do anything, let alone somebody in like politics?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Like I can't get my neighbor to cut his grass. You know,
True confessions, Scott.
no, but you know, you make a good point. You know, they say, well, you know, all these people. You know, like, well, take a look at how many of those people vote.
Yeah.
Right, because they're working 2 jobs and it's not a holiday. Right?
It's not a holiday.
They don't get out
And
to
it's
go
not
vote,
automatic
so
registration.
They don't carry all this block power, right? It's not.
Yeah,
like
they don't at all.
Right.
Yeah, it's part of the false narrative that's been woven by the super affluent class of our country, and not just our country, the whole world.
Yeah.
And that's like when you look at Bangladesh,
global,
to throw it back, right? Like that's why there is an upper middle class that literally live like those guys in Miami, and then there's one-armed motherfuckers on the side of the freeway begging for fucking scraps.
Exactly. Right next to each other.
Yeah,
I mean,
literally right next to each other.
yeah,
Like,
walking past each other.
driving in a Mercedes from the airport in Bangladesh, and like guys like one-armed rickshaw drivers, right? Like, I mean, the poor and the middle class, and even like the people in the upper middle class, have to figure out how to consolidate and understand that the true enemy is the people that hoard 50% of the wealth on the planet.
And the thing is, again, for me, the little bit of leeway that I've been able to get with folks or whatever is you know, educating them so that they understand why why empathy and sympathy is in their best interest.
See, I don't agree. I don't think that's it at all. You got
to
tell them that corporate welfare is the same as regular welfare, only it's for people that don't need it.
Well, so corporate, corporate welfare and that's the thing. But like when you're looking at like, you're voting, the drug war, and you're voting, that or whatever. You look at the drug war now. You have these overrun prison systems. That's tax money out of your out of your pocket.
Also
you know what I mean? Like, you're talking about abortion or whatever. You're like, oh, let's like annex abortion. Look at countries that have done that. That shit turned out poorly for them. The economy crashed because they don't have a way to regulate, procreation.
But
you know what I mean?
Can't teach somebody feelings.
No, and that's the biggest hurdle. And the only people that you really can reach are the people that are at least able to.
But you could teach people to resent their neighbor.
Yeah.
Oh, we've seen it.
Yeah.
We've totally seen that. Yeah. But you can't teach them.
But it's easier to teach resentment than it is compassion. And compassion is compassion is a thing that like, I honestly like feel like you have to like go. So like, when it comes to feelings, once you get into the feeling thing, because I can make somebody hate somebody. We could 1984 it up, throw it all, everybody in a room and just go at like,
because manipulation is easy.
Yeah. I mean,
that's
like
super simple.
But compassion is experience driven.
Exactly.
Like, I would be a total douchebag bro asshole if I didn't work in Stowe Rocks.
Yeah. If you didn't have the experience and that's outside of that, outside of the feeling thing, it's the how are my actions, how's me voting, like that, they vote for laws and they think that like, all right, well, we're going to do these laws for these other people. No, you get affected by that too. Now they're knocking on people's doors in Michigan, the forfeiture law, where like, if you have the slightest, if you got weed or whatever, and you're growing weed or whatever, and you make the slight, say your lock on your fence is, out of code, they can come and take all your shit. I was watching the story about they came through and took like birthday money out of her cards and like her, sexual pictures and just like, some other guy like lost like $600,000 and they keep it and like you have to fight to get it back. And typically most people don't. So, I mean, like, and they can take all the cash or whatever. You know why they can do that to you as a middle class white person? Because back in the 80s, we all voted, not all, but like the drug war. And then Ronald Reagan, like, made middle class and upper class white people afraid of drugs and dark people, so they were like, "Fuck it, yeah. Here's our rights."
But it was dark people.
Is this a good time to mention that you terrify me?
Before he distracts you, it wasn't drugs. It was dark people.
It was dark people.
The white people were doing cocaine.
And cocaine,
fucking rocking it like everybody else was rocking it.
Exactly.
But it was a fucking excuse to compartmentalize poverty. It was an excuse to fucking again create this class divide, and it was all smoke and mirrors.
Hang on, but that's where I was saying though that you do have the people that pulled themselves out that do have to own some of this, right? So, like, if they get the good job, what do they tell their kid? They go, you got to dress like this because when I used to dress the other way, I didn't get the good job, right? There's a perniciousness to it, which is easy to ignore in the short term, right? Like when you're just talking to your kid and you're like, no, tuck your shirt in, stand up straight, and those kinds of things, you mean well because you're trying to tell your kid, like, this is how people with jobs look. And you may not learn that from hanging out with this group that you're hanging out with, right? But what ends up kind of like in this, it's like lead poisoning. It accumulates over time, right? You know, where eventually you start going like, well, that guy obviously doesn't know, he wasn't raised right because he doesn't have his shirt tucked in right, you know, and he doesn't want to have a job, right? So now you jump to the conclusion that he, you know, because he wasn't taken under, you know, dad's wing at the right time with the right advice, he is somehow deciding it, right? And I seriously think that's the tip of the spear, right?
Yeah.
Where it starts from well-meaning coaching of your own kids, right? And you got to be open to, like, look, nobody's going to help you. You got to do it yourself.
That kid's dad was gone, right? Like that's the part you're
He was locked up because Reagan fucking, you know, I mean, made crack a 10 times, you know, harder offense than cocaine.
I don't think it's the whole story, but I do think that that's where somebody who made it starts to think that the other person did it on purpose.
I don't, you know what, the thing, I'm in no way, shape, or form affluent. But like I came from like straight poverty, like, and not third world poverty, but like there were times where like we didn't eat. It was, I mean, it was a thing. Like a meal was a choice. Like it wasn't, you know what I mean? To like now, like middle class. You know what I mean? Like, you know, and because of that, like I have a better understanding of. I mean, I understand how I got here, but like I have a better understanding of that as opposed to somebody that just was always born in this that doesn't have. Because again, compassion is an experience thing. And if you don't have that experience, if you don't know that, like, you know, I even talked to my fiance. I mean, like, we have a lot of conversations. She's just always been middle class. You know what I mean? Like, so, you know, she asked me a lot of questions about, like, why do people do this? Why? And then I'm like, because, like, shit be rough. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and that, like, that really is. It means, yo, shit be tough. Like, and, you know, but I can go on this forever. We got to get to founding of the academy because I think that program is so amazing. Again, shout out to Kalani.
So 2010 started trying startup stuff. Our first startup was crowdfunding of political speech. So the idea that Day Bracey could upload a 30-second TV spot anywhere in the country and crowdfund the distribution of that ad buy, and then our company would manage that ad buy. So basically, a response to the super PACs that were poisoning our election system, we thought, let's just make this technology driven, then anybody can be a super PAC and just totally like add chaos to the system and fuck shit up.
Yeah.
But that didn't work for a couple reasons. One, because we had never run a web or technology-based startup before. Two, because we're in Pittsburgh and they do not give a fuck about anything that's not widgets and medical, biotech, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah, Steelers.
Not at that time anyway.
Especially not at that time. This is like 2011, right? So we pivoted, we white labeled it, which basically means we genericized the platform. We had a national brand, a media company, engaging us to take our technology and give it to high school athletic departments. Yeah. So basically the idea was that we would give this crowdfunding platform to Brashear High School. Aunt Mary has never picked up a newspaper in the last 5 years, but she's going to give Johnny $50 for a football uniform and she'll have to see our brand. And that looked like a really, really, really big win for us. You know, we were going for essentially hundreds of thousands of dollars of revenue. And when that deal fell through for mostly because we didn't understand what was happening, but that deal didn't work out. We had to close up shop, and that's how Work Hard Pittsburgh emerged. Because as we were working on those startups, we were building the space because we knew that we needed access to technology, and technology providers, and this co-working space was going to fill that gap. So anyway, jump to 2016, and we start thinking about what sort of products can the co-op launch that will fill a gap in our ecosystem? And the obvious thing were these sort of condensed technical training academies, like web developer boot camps. That's not my motherfucking idea. Like these things are all over the country. They've been wildly successful in every other market in the country. Average, they have about a 75% job placement rate with starting salaries pushing 60, 70 grand.
Wow.
So
and this is a 12-week program?
super condensed. It's basically 60 hours a week of really intense training, and it's real world based, right? So we spend a lot of our time replicating what you'll experience when you become that entry level web developer. So we spend a lot of time with pair programming, with code testing, with things that will make you employable on the open marketplace and give you soft skills so that when you roll into that first job, it's not foreign to you. It's a predictable, understood thing.
How do you do 60 hours a week?
I don't. I just sit there.
No. Yeah. Well, like how are the classes structured to like? I mean, you know,
they're 8 hours a day, right?
Okay.
So from 9 to 5, and then the expectation is that you participate in build nights, we call them, where you come and you do side projects. You'll go out into the community and try to establish yourself in the broader network, so that when it's time to go get a job, you made some connections. There's just after hour events.
That is such a great, like, I mean, that networking side of things, and like, I mean, which is weird because it's tech, but like that the actual like network, because that is such a skill.
Totally.
To use. I mean, like that is the greatest skill that I got out of college. Like, I mean, I learned a bunch of things or whatever, but like networking was the thing that like, you know, I was very good at doing. So I think it's super dope that you guys like built that into it. And the program that you guys run, like how do people get into it?
So there's an open application cycle right now. The next session 4 of Academy, will be, I think it starts September 18th or September 15th or like that. You basically apply. There's a logic test, which is usually the gatekeeper for most people. Like, you got to be able to think math.
You got to
right?
have the skills to.
Your brain's got to be wired for it, right?
Yeah, you're not, and like you said, like, you know, unethical or whatever. Like with that, you're not just selling somebody a pipe dream, going like, you know what, anybody can like. Yeah,
no Trump steaks here, motherfucker.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, if
They're
you're
delicious,
not,
I heard.
if you're not capable, because I'm not capable of a lot of shit.
I
mean, like, exactly. So like, I'd probably be like, man, probably not. You know.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's dope that you get. And then so they take this like logic test, and then.
Yeah, they take a logic test. They do a personal statement of need. Half of our spots are reserved for people that are traditionally underrepresented in tech. So that's refugees and veterans and women and African Americans and Latinos and anybody else we can kind of clump into that. And they go through the application process. We typically can have between 17 and 20 people participate in a session. We work really hard to try to find the ones that are going to be the best fit and most likely to have gainful employment at the end of the session.
Wow. And how much does this cost the folks?
So to date, it's been completely free. Starting in session 4, there's a $6,000 staffing fee. So what that means is if you get a job using the skills we teach you, you have to pay us $6,000.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
That's still a really.
my fucking student loans. Like, if I could get them down to $6,000, I'd be good. Like, I can't wait till I get the bitches down to $6,000. I'm like,
We're all having a party when day hits $6,000.
Let me frame that nationally, right? Like the national average for boot camps costs $11,000 out of pocket.
Yeesh.
So, and that's upfront money. So what we're trying to do is create a model that allows for more diverse participation from people that are struggling in different economic situations. And listen, we'll work with you. Like, we don't expect you to throw us $6,000 a day you get a job, right? Like we'll figure out a way to spread that shit out.
Can I get my maybe first check? Because the first checks, man. So I had to be the worst. Having so many jobs, it's weird. Like, I hated like starting a job right in the middle of a pay period, because then I'm looking at like 3 weeks before.
If they get it right.
Yeah. Especially if they put me on the payroll, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm telling people, like, I got a job. Like, I mean, like, look, listen. The money's coming. It's coming. You just gotta give me, you know. Oh man, that's super dope. And how? So, where can they find you? We got to have you back on this motherfucker at some point again, like, because we can go on and on. But we got to get the hell out of here. Where can they find you?
So the application's on academypgh.com. If you're interested in the cooperative structure of the larger entity that creates these things, that's workhardpgh.com. And at WorkRPGH and at Academy P, all the social media stuff.
Nice. See, it's what do they call that? Brand continuity.
Yeah. Oh, there's so much continuity there.
Yeah, nice.
I love the hat tip. Like, everybody looks at me when we talk about brand continuity, but seriously, I got to say, if people got half of what you get done in a week, the world would be a better place. Like, not a joke. Like, just watching how much you put into it, and you want to talk about integration and continuity. You know, I mean, this isn't a guy who's getting paid to do a job. This is somebody who's getting paid to be himself. Yeah. And that is freedom.
That is, I mean, my God, man. I tell people that I can't believe that I live, just like, they're like, what do you do? I'm like, man, I don't even know. I just show up and I drink and I talk and people give me money sometimes. And like, that is such a free feeling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it is work. It's work like a motherfucker. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I mean, and when they say like, oh, like if you find what you're doing, there's love, it doesn't feel like work. No, that shit feels like work sometimes. You know what I mean?
You have
like,
to get to the point, right?
Yeah. I mean,
you can
like,
just fall out one day and be like, well, today I'm an expert comedian with a podcast.
Yeah, no, I mean, I wake up at 6:30 in the morning. I mean, like, and that shit is, that is work. But it feels like work that's worth it. You know what I mean, as opposed to when I woke up at 6:30 and just went and got paid by somebody else to do some other shit that I was just like, fuck it for a check.
Right.
So I highly admire what you've done.
Thanks.
I appreciate, the opportunity that you've been able to give us. We look forward to having you back on the cast at some point because this has been a dope conversation. Scott, man, where can they find you?
Man, they can always find me at pitchworks.com or check out the podcast, which is every Wednesday morning. We're talking to somebody else who's presenting ideas, whether they be new startups or salespeople, marketing, whatever it is.
How do you spell Pitchworks?
With an E, as it turns out. It's Pitchworks. You are one of the better setup men in this business.
I try, man.
It's working.
I try. We are Drinking Partners, and if you're looking for us, you can find us on epicastnetwork.com/partnerspod. You can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Libsyn, and Google Play under Drinking Partners. You can find us on IG, Twitter, and Facebook at PartnersPod. Ed isn't here. Shout out to Ed. He's spending his family time. You know what I mean? Got to do the damn thing. But, as he would say, Drinking Partners is the crew. Epicast is the family. Yeah. Good shit, man. I didn't know, like, you had, when I get around, like, social service folks, people that are, like, understood, like, then I'm just, like, we just go all fucking day.
You said, like, 3 times, like, we could go on forever. I'm like, we kind of did.
Yeah, no, like, true, like, it's